Hello friends, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, hello. My name is Imani and I create lifestyle and bookish content here on YouTube. If you can't already tell by the title, today's video is going to be my 2025 reading wrap up. In my hands, I have my top 5 of 2025. I'm sure you can tell some of them already by their edges, maybe. But before we get here, I just want to discuss the 29 books that I did read this year, which was over my goal of 24. Yay! Little wins. So I have Goodreads pulled up on my phone right now. So in 2025, I read 29 books, which equated to 14,044 pages read. My shortest book was 212 pages. It was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. My longest book was 733 pages. And that was Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. That is the 6th book, I think, in the Throne of Glass series. My average book length in 2025 was 484 pages, which sounds about right because I got very heavily into fantasy this year. My average rating for 2025 was 3.9 stars, which is very good for me, okay, because I am a chronic 5-star giver. If I fall in love with the characters, 5 stars. If I love the plot, 5 stars. If I am immersed fully into the world, 5 stars. Like, I will hand out 5 stars like there's no tomorrow, but I will also hand out 2 stars like there's no tomorrow. Like, if I cannot get into the story, if I cannot relate to the character, if I can't understand the magic system, or whatever the case may be, 2 stars. I'm sorry. Okay, and then I'm going to quickly go through each book. I'm not going to do like a super in-depth review of each of them, but I will tell you what I rated it and why I rated it that. The first book I read in 2025 was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I rated this 3.5 stars. I liked the book, I just didn't really like how it was written, I guess, or like worded per se. It was just very like, I don't know, like Mark Manson kind of seemed rude. A little bit, and like I guess that could go without saying, the whole idea of the book, like, don't give a fuck about how he's saying things, but I don't know. I liked what the story was, like what the book was itself, but I didn't really like how it was written. The next book I read in 2025 was 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. I rated this 3 stars. I don't really remember why I put 3 stars. I think I listened to that one on audiobook though, so I guess that could probably have something to do with it. The first non-self-help book that I read in 2025 was Twisted Lies, and I rated that 5 stars. Personally, I think this was the best Twisted book in the series. And that's saying a lot because I loved Twisted Games, okay? That was my favorite for so long, and I didn't want to continue the series because I thought neither of the other 2 books were gonna, you know, be up to par with Twisted Games. Also, I just didn't like Jules and Josh, so I didn't want to read Twisted Hate, and I'm the type of person who I need to read the books in order to like read the series, even if they're like interconnected standalones. Like, the 3rd book has nothing to do with the 2nd book, but things that happen in the 1st and 2nd book are kind of playing a part, or like they pop up in the 3rd and 4th book. So naturally I read Twisted Hate and then I read Twisted Lies. I rated Twisted Hate 4 stars and Twisted Lies 5 stars. I think personally Twisted Lies is what Twisted Love could have been if they spent more time on it, if that makes any sense. Okay, and then after I finished the Twisted series, I started Fourth Wing, and I rated this book 5 stars. I actually wrote a review for this one. Fourth Wing, I started it because it was around the time that I think Iron Flame came out, or I can't even remember, I'm not gonna lie. There was a book that came out in Target. It was a special edition with like the printed sprayed edge on the side, and everybody was going crazy for it. I was like, what the fuck is so popular about this book? I need to read it. So I read it and I finished it in less than a week. And I was so fully immersed in this world. I was like, I never thought that I could like something with dragons and magic and fairies and this and that. And given Fourth Wing has no fairies, I get that, but the books that I read after do. Fourth Wing introduced me to fantasy, and I am so grateful for it because it is such a good book. Like, it's cute. The story between Xaden and Violet, I loved it. Xaden was the first shadow daddy I ever got introduced to, so I'm so grateful for that. So yeah, quickly after Fourth Wing, I read Iron Flame, and then I also read Onyx Storm. Iron Flame I gave 4 stars, and then Onyx Storm I gave 4 stars as well. I think that Fourth Wing was brilliant, okay? It introduces you to a world where dragons and humans can bond, and they have magic, and they like speak to each other in their mind, and there's love, and there's hate, and there's war, and there's, you know, these dark beings, and there's magic, and there's just so much. Then Iron Flame kind of like dwindles down a little bit, and it introduces too many characters, too many different places and stuff. I think it was just too much too quick, so it was kind of all over the place. And then Onyx Storm, it obviously leaves you on such a big cliffhanger, but I also feel like it was kind of rushed. The cliffhanger that it leaves you on, it kind of feels like we were rushed to get there, if that makes any sense at all. So naturally, after I finished the Empyrean series, or I caught up on it because, you know, book 4 is being worked on, I started the ACOTAR series, and this was problematic for me, okay? Because I've tried reading ACOTAR. I've tried reading it so many times in the past. I thought that I could get into it for the same reason that I got into Fourth Wing, okay? It was a very popular book on TikTok. I saw everybody talking about it. Everybody was talking about Tamlin and Rhys, and I'm just like, who are these people? Why is everybody losing their mind? Why does everybody hate this guy Tamlin? So I started trying to read it. And I kept on getting like 2 chapters in, 3 chapters in, 2 chapters in, 3 chapters in. I tried reading this book 4 times, okay? And it took the 4th time to just push through the first few chapters, and then push through the first book. And then I got to the second book, and that was it, okay? The second book took me and dragged me through a journey, and I just went with it, okay? And now I love it. I rated ACOTAR, the first book in the series, 3 stars. Obviously, I didn't like it. It was kind of boring. I don't know. I just didn't really like the story or the world yet. And then I read A Court of Mist and Fury, the second book in the series, and I rated that 5 stars. All I have to say is chapter 54. That's literally it, okay? That's why this book is 5 stars. Next book in the series, A Court of Wings and Ruin. I rated it 4 stars. I loved this book. I feel like I should revisit it and rate it like 4.5, because A Court of Wings and Ruin is, to me, what Queen of Shadows was, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of truly brings the story together, and like you finally get everybody together, and the big like thing is happening. And then I read A Court of Frost and Starlight. I rated that 2 stars. It was so boring, okay? It was like a side quest novella Christmas like special or something. We could have done without it, honestly. I feel like I wasted time reading it. And then I didn't read Silver Flames. I want to read that this year. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't read it because I'm not the biggest Nesta fan, and as an older sister, I feel like I should be a Nesta fan, and maybe I will be. I think I just need to read Silver Flames, and maybe that'll change my opinion on her. But yeah, I haven't read Silver Flames yet. I also think it doesn't really have much to do with the overall story. Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't come at me, but correct me if I am wrong. So yeah, I will eventually read A Court of Silver Flames. And after the ACOTAR series, I kind of branched out a little bit, and I read an Abby Jimenez book. This was my first Abby Jimenez book ever. I read Life's Too Short, and I rated it 4 stars. It was very cute. It was very touching. And it was like, I don't know, it was very like rom-com. Like, I could see it happening in my head. Like, it was a little movie in my head or something. So I really liked it. I thought it was really cute. And then the next book I read after that, it was actually it was an audiobook. It was Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I rated this 2 stars. I really didn't like it. I don't know. I felt a little guilty rating it so low, because I was like, it's a beautiful story, and like I can understand why people love it, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. Maybe I just wasn't in the right season of life to appreciate it as much as I should. I do think I'm going to go back and read it again, but this time like actually read it, not listen to the audiobook. And maybe that'll change the way I think, but as of right now, it was a 2-star read for me, so I'm sorry. After that, I got a arc for Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I rated this one 3 stars. I think it was a fun read. I just feel like I wasn't given enough information to be fully immersed in the book or in the story itself, or like in the world really. Also, the female main character wasn't my favorite. Like, her and Feyre, they're on the same level. I could really do without them, honestly. So I rated that one 3 stars. I am excited to read the second book though, to see like kind of where the story goes, if maybe the world building picks up or something. Because the way Silver Elite ended, it set you up for like a really good continuation of the story. Like, they could go so much more in depth. After Silver Elite, I was kind of in the mood to try something new, and I picked up Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and I rated this book 5 stars, okay? I would have never picked up this book because the cover, can I show you guys? Like, it's literally just this AI generated man. This was never a book I would pick up. I saw it all the time. I, never thought to pick it up. But then I went on TikTok, as per usual, and somebody was like, oh, you have to read about Kingfisher. You have to read about Kingfisher. I'm like, who the hell is Kingfisher? Like, why is his name Kingfisher? So I, in my stupid mind, was like, oh, like, he's probably like Aquaman or something, because why else would his name be Kingfisher? I picked it up. He's nothing like Aquaman. Nothing like Aquaman at all, guys. But I do love him, okay? And he is another shadow daddy. I love him. Kingfisher's top 3 book boyfriends. After my phenomenal read of Quicksilver, I read all 3 of the Summer I Turned Pretty books because I wanted to watch the TV show, but I had never read the books. I always thought I read them when I was younger, but it was P.S. I Love You that I was mixing it up with. So I read all 3 of the Summer I Turned Pretty books. I rated them all 3 stars. They're not the best written books, I'm not gonna lie, but the story is there and it's cute. And then I watched the TV show and I obviously just fell in love again. Team Conrad, baby. Okay, and then after the Summer I Turned Pretty books, I was having like a debate on whether I wanted to start the Boys of Tommen series or the Throne of Glass series, because I was in between. Like, I wanted romance, but I also wanted fantasy again because of that feeling that ACOTAR gave me and Fourth Wing gave me. So I was like hesitant. So I read Binding 13, the first book in the Boys of Tommen series. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was precious. I gave it 4 stars. It was very much a whirlwind of emotions, and it hit very close to home in the sense that Shannon had a very, very rough upbringing, to say the least. And she struggled with like abusive parents, her father, growing up, and I've experienced similar issues in my upbringing, and I don't know, I just really loved her story, and I loved her story with Johnny. I thought Johnny was precious, okay? I love them together. I think he is so sweet for her, and I can't wait to see where their story goes. I ended up not continuing the series though. I am going to continue it this year though. It's on my TBR for 2026. I will be rereading Binding 13, and then I will read the rest of the series as well. After I read Binding 13, I started the Throne of Glass series. And this series has taken over my life, guys, okay? I don't think you understand. The first Throne of Glass book, I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was a little bit confusing. I was like, why am I being thrown into this story right now? Who is this girl? I had so many questions. So I immediately jumped into Crown of Midnight, and I rated this one 5 stars. And while I was reading Crown of Midnight, I was like, oh my god, this is my favorite book. Like, this is great. I love this. I'm getting so many questions answered. I have even more questions. Like, so much is happening. After Crown of Midnight, I took a little bit of a break because it was summertime. I read Abby Jimenez Just for the Summer, loved it, rated it 5 stars. I thought it was so sweet and so real. The relationship between Justin and Emma was so cute, but so like realistic, basically. The touches on mental health, the family issues. Again, I loved it so much. Same as Binding 13, I could relate. So I very much appreciated that. And also it was very summery. I loved it. And then at the same time I was reading this, I got a ARC copy of Arcana Academy. I rated this one 3.5 stars. It was a very different magic system that I couldn't really grasp and fully understand, and that's why I rated it so low. But I really did like the characters, and I think I'm gonna give myself another chance to read it, only because I was still so fully immersed in the Throne of Glass series because of Crown of Midnight. I was still thinking about that, and then I also was reading just for the summer at the same time as Arcana Academy, so my mind was kind of all over the place. I feel like I need to give Arcana Academy another shot, because again, I did enjoy the characters and I did enjoy the world as a whole. It was just the magic system that I was struggling to comprehend. So yeah, I gave that one 3.5 stars, but again, I will be revisiting that book this year. And after my little hiatus from the Throne of Glass series, I went right back in. I started Heir of Fire, rated that 5 stars, and it was the same as Crown of Midnight. I was basically like, oh my god, this is my favorite book ever. Like, I never want to read anything else again. I decided to do Assassin's Blade 4th because that's what ChatGPT told me to do. I know there's a lot of discourse online about where to put this book, where to read it. People read it first, people read it second, people read it third. I chose to read it 4th. I read Assassin's Blade 4th, rated it 5 stars. My boy Sam, okay? My heart was hurting so much in this book. And then similar to the 2 books prior, I was like, this is my favorite book. I love this story. This is amazing. Oh my god, I feel for her. XYZ, blah blah blah. I finished Assassin's Blade, went directly into Queen of Shadows, 5 stars. Same idea, guys. I was like, this is the best book. And I don't know if you can tell, but for every book in this series, I just kept saying, this is the best book, this is the best book, this is the best book. Okay? I don't know if you guys can tell, but the running theme here is that every single book in this series has been my favorite. Queen of Shadows was my favorite. It was absolutely my favorite. I loved it so much. You had so many answers, so many new characters, so many more questions. There was so much character development between the characters that you've already known from the first book to characters that you just met in the last book. Just truly phenomenal writing and world building and like connecting, like I don't even know how to explain this. Like, there's so many things happening in so many different parts of this continent and this world, and they're all connecting slowly and slowly and slowly and slowly, and it's all leading you up to the final book, basically. So naturally, I rated Queen of Shadows 5 stars, said it was my favorite, and then I read the tandem read of Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms. Tower of Dawn I gave 4 stars because it wasn't my favorite. He wasn't my favorite character. It didn't have enough for me. But it is very important to the story overall. So I did read it, and I did enjoy it, especially the ending. I thought it was so cute and so sweet, and just, again, character development, and it was just so wholesome, okay? So Tower of Dawn I gave 4 stars. Empire of Storms. Empire of Storms is my girl, okay? 5.5 stars to that book. 5.5 stars to that book. That book, without a doubt in my mind, is my favorite book in the series. Similar to Queen of Shadows, there's so much character development. You get so many answers. You have so many more questions. Everything, again, creeping in to this big finale that is Kingdom of Ash. It was just beautifully done, and I can completely understand why it was a tandem read. Like, these things are happening at the same time, Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms. Empire of Storms is my favorite book in the series. I love it so much. The next book I read, but I DNF'd, I'm not gonna lie. It was Blade of Broken Scales by Michaela Marie. I think I was sent this as an ARC. I just think it was a little too slow for me, and I was reading through like the reviews after the fact, because when I did my review, there were barely any, since again it was an ARC. It hadn't come out yet, and I was one of the first few people to read it. After reading the reviews, people were like, oh, it was very slow in the beginning, but it picks up and you can't get enough of it after. So again, I think I just kind of didn't give it enough time. But for me, if I'm not like immediately drawn into a story, then like it's gonna take a lot for me to continue it. Hence me reading ACOTAR 4 times before finally continuing and pushing myself through. So yes, that is the 29 books that I read in 2025. My goal for this year is going to be 50 books. I want to double my goal for last year, because if I can get to almost 30 books, then I can add on another 20. And guess what? I'm already almost done with my first read of the year, and we're only 10 days in, guys. And it's a thick book. I'm currently reading Kingdom of Ash because I didn't finish the series in 2025. Kingdom of Ash was my first book this year, and I'm almost done. Okay, now let's get into my top 5 of 2025. Starting off strong, number 5 on the list is going to be none other than A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. I absolutely fell in love with Rhys-Anne in this book. Feyre still is not my favorite female main character, but Rhys-Anne truly made up for it. And again, chapter 54. If you have read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not read the book, please read the series, please. And then when you get to chapter 54 and then chapter 55, okay? Come back and tell me what you think and tell me if you understand what I mean now. Number 4 on my top 5 is none other than The Queen of Shadows. This is the 5th book, I think, in the Throne of Glass series. I just explained why I loved it so much. You understand, you get it. This book is going to forever live in my heart and in my mind, okay? This book and just the series as a whole. The 3rd book in my top 5 is none other than Fourth Wing, the book that got me into fantasy. So thank you, Rebecca, for that. Thank you, Violet. Thank you, Zayden. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for this book, because without this, I would not know the worlds that I have visited this year. My number 2 in the top 5 is Quicksilver. This is a special edition. This is not the cover that I was mentioning before. This is the Walmart exclusive, like silver edged cover. I think this was like their book of the year pick or something. But number 2 goes to Quicksilver because, again, this introduced me to a whole new, like, style of fantasy, okay? There were vampires, there were alchemists, there's so many, like, different concepts in this. I never thought I would pick something up like this. Also, just the way Kingfisher talks, the way he speaks to Cerys and the things that he says to her are just out of pocket, okay? He's just insane, and I love him for it. Callie Hart, thank you for Quicksilver, and thank you for Kingfisher. And then naturally, my number 1 book for 2025 is The Bold and the Beautiful Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is part of the tandem read. I love this book so much, and I regret not tabbing it. There's a certain page in here. Boom. Page 670. The only thing that I wrote in this book, okay? You can't see it, but I will post a picture of it. Spoiler alert for whoever has not read this series. Skip ahead about 20 seconds. Where is Aelin? There was pure panic, too. Pure panic as Whitehorn saw the blood, the scattered blades, and the shirt. Where is Aelin? What had he done? What had he done? Pain sliced Lorcan's neck. Warm blood dribbled down his throat, his chest. Rowan hissed, "Where is my wife?" Lorcan swayed where he knelt. Wife. Wife. Oh gods, Elide sobbed. Oh gods. Where is my wife is the reason that this is my top book. It truly just brought so much together. You got so many answers about Aelin, about Kale, about Rowan, Maeve, Manon, Dorian, like, so much character development, so many answers, so many more questions. The story just truly came together here, and you can kind of understand like where the story's going, but you also have no fucking clue what's gonna happen in the last book because it is like double the size of this. Like, how much more could we possibly go through with this series? Okay, I don't know how many times I cried with this series. I don't know how many more times I will cry with this series, because again, the last book is like double this size. For what? I don't know. But my top read of 2025 was Empire Storms by Sarah J. Maas. So Sarah, thank you for your brilliant mind, okay? I love it there, and I just want to live there forever. So there we have it. That is my top 5 of 2025. I will be sharing my top 6 most anticipated reads of 2026 over on my Instagram, so make sure you go follow. It is at Hey It's Imani. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my 2025 reading wrapped. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you stayed this long, thank you so much. I love you. And I want you to comment what your top book of 2025 was and what book you're most excited to read in 2026. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.